This is one of Alberto Contador's actual old bikes. Yes, this exact bike was raced by one of the greats in the Tour de France. Admittedly, it was the 2016 Tour de France where Contador crashed twice and then pulled out. But still, better yet, this bike's new owner, Dan from Vintage Velo, is happy for us to thrash the living daylights out of it to see just how fast a Contador bike really was, and potentially still is. And who better to put it through its paces than this chap, Andrew Feather, the man with the most KOMs of anyone on the entire planet. But can he get another one on this? First, let's get you up to speed with just who Alberto Contador is. Well, only the greatest Grand Tour rider of his generation, perhaps one of the all-time greats at that, with 7 titles in all, 2 Tours de France, 2 Giri d'Italia, and 3 Vuelta a España. In an age of cycling now dominated by new Galactico superstars like Van der Poel, Evenepoel, and of course Pogačar, Contador's is a name that doesn't get as much recognition as perhaps it should these days. But no one could climb like Contador. In fact, he had the fastest rate of ascent of any rider in history, an equivalent of 1,900 meters of climbing per hour. As I said at the start, this is one of Alberto's race bikes from the 2016 Tour de France. It's even still got his Tour de France transponder on there. So if you're watching, Christian Prudhomme, if you want it back, Dan is your man. Now, we know that this is Alberto's bike, partly because it's got his name sticker on there. It's also got loads of limited edition parts on there with Alberto's kind of personal branding on, like the Prologo saddle, the Look pedals. And there's even, if you look closely, a little Contador scratched into the carbon on each of his wheels. Now, you've got to say, by his standards, that he didn't go very fast on this bike. 2016 was not a successful year for him. By modern standards, this bike looks super dated, even though it's only 8 years old. But actually, it looked pretty dated in 2016. At that point, there were loads of major changes happening in bike technology, but this bike didn't have any on there. There is nothing aerodynamic on here to speak of. The handlebars are comparatively wide at 400 millimeters. The tires comparatively narrow at 24 millimeters, but you couldn't fit anything bigger on here because there's basically zero clearance built into this frame set. Of course, everyone was using rim brakes at that point, but only 2 riders were still using mechanical shifting, Fabian Cancellara and Mr. Contador. Yep, basically the whole pro peloton had moved onto electronic shifting, apart from those 2 riders. Now, some say it was because Alberto preferred the feel of mechanical shifting, others that his personal mechanic simply didn't like Di2. But what is cool is just how they've carved out every ounce of performance from this setup. I mean, even down to changing the cable outers to his preferred alligator eye-link. So this is where instead of a normal cable outer, you've got this metal segmented one, and it's compressionless, which means that when you pull on the brakes or you press the gear levers, there's no flex in it, and so you get the ultimate precision. It does actually feel flipping amazing. But as I said, it kind of adds to that overall feeling that this bike could actually be another 4 years older than it is. It's just on the cusp of that whole next generation of tech. This bike is a size too small for me, really, but even so, I had to swing a leg over it before we let Feather at it. And first impressions, oh my good God, is it light. Like, ridiculously light. Unsurprisingly for a star climber, Contador was a mega weight weenie, so his bikes were always up at the 6.8 kilo weight limit. This one today is 6.7 kilos. Now we think that after he crashed out of the Tour de France, whilst the bike was left unchanged, he did remove his SRM power meter, or someone did, and the head unit display as well, which is probably why it's 100 grams under. Now, interestingly, even in 2016, Contador wasn't using GPS. And actually, I had a little snoop, Turns out he didn't really discover Strava until 2017, which probably not surprising really, because if you're as fast as he was, then you don't need to record your own times up climbs, because you've got a million people doing it for you, AKA the history books. As well as being super duper light, I've also got to say my first reactions to riding this frame is that it's super duper stiff. My unofficial Simon Richardson front end stiffness test of wibbling the handlebars shows that it is actually really, really stiff up front. Same with the bottom bracket under power. And it does make me wonder, right? Every new bike that's released is fractionally stiffer than the one before. But yet, going back 8 years, and it's hard to tell. One thing I do know though, is that certainly with the model before this, the SL4, Specialized did produce pro-only layups that were a little bit heavier, but a little bit stiffer. Lastly from me, because I sensed that Andrew Feather might be growing impatient in a car park, and that is a man you do not want to make angry, I will just say that these brakes and these gears still perform flawlessly. There is that slightly disconcerting noise of rim brakes on carbon wheels, but, well, you get used to that within an instant. But the shifting, because of these cables, so good. This is an absolute delight to ride. So cool. Whilst Andrew is just getting prepped and, meditating by the look of it, two quick things. I said earlier that there was a little Alberto Contador scratched into the wheels. There it is, look. Looks like he's just kind of tagged it. Bit of graffiti, but super cool anyway. The other thing, this bike is, as it was ridden in the Tour de France, bar that power meter that we think has gone missing, but also the bar tape, which got scratched up. This was a bike that Contador actually crashed. So the bar tape's been replaced. Now, he was famous for having double layer of bar tape and also wrapped in reverse. So no electrical tape needed at the middle. It would go backwards and then was held in place with the end plugs there. Now, not the most durable way to wrap your bars, but a very, very cool way. If you've got your own personal mechanic, well, why the hell not? But it's kind of cool that it's as it was, bar just that one thing. Andrew, here you go. I think you're gonna like that. Wow. Right up your street, your jam sandwich. Now, a few of you might be slightly concerned that Andrew's not going to be talking to us at the moment, given that we suggested in a video a couple of weeks back that there might be another rider to challenge Andrew's status as King Com. But, you know, you okay? Like, is this right?
I'm okay, yeah.
Okay, and was it all right getting those emails from Strava? Because, I mean, I guess they're probably your first?
Well, they're not actually. I do get quite a few on a daily basis, mainly e-bikes. But yeah, they were certainly legitimate KOM losses. So,
okay. Have you done anything about it?
I've managed to get back 2 over 3, so I've just got 1 to go.
Revenge, I like it. Handover complete, this bike is clearly a perfect fit for Feather. He won't be spending long on it though. The segment he has picked out is steep but short, the infamous Old London Road to Woods entrance. A KOM he currently doesn't have. I know, weird. The fastest time is held by Jacques Cote, 1 minute 50 seconds for the 650 metre long climb at an average gradient of 11%.
Feels okay at the moment, really stiff. I forgot how hard a 2-minute effort is. Oh,
I did, got it. Just quite close, 2 seconds.
You got it?
Yeah,
hey, good man.
Yeah, 2 seconds. So
well done.
1:48. It's quite funny because normally I try not to look at the wahoo throughout the climb, but I always look at it within the last sort of 20 seconds. And now I had nothing to gauge where I was, kind of thing. So I was completely blind, basically. So it's quite interesting to ride like that.
Yeah, but what's also interesting, right, is that you are nearing your peak, like hill climb fitness, right? Like you're almost as light as you're going to get.
Yeah.
You're as strong as you're going to get, but you only got it by 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that actually, is the bike letting you down slightly?
I think no, I'm not sure. Maybe, I mean, the hills typically that I've been going for so far this year have been quite long climbs, and obviously they will get shorter because the Nationals is going to be a sort of 3.5 minute climb, whereas a 2 minute climb is so different. It's such a different mindset, such a different effort, really. And I think that really played out today, kind of thing. It's just, that last 100, 200 meters is just really, really painful. And it's only 2 minutes.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's good.
Well,
it's good.
Well done. And I think we can safely say that bike is still competitive.
Definitely. And I think, this is a standard setup at the moment. You could really spec this and make this as a really, really lightweight hill climb bike, I think. Maybe I'll borrow it at the end.
In conclusion then, this bike is potentially still fast. More likely though, Andrew Feather is still fast, and this bike didn't really hold him back. And it's not hard to see why, right? It's 6.7 kilos and the climb was less than 2 minutes long. So whilst I've been spectating Andrew's exploits, I've been mulling things over as well. And you've got to say this bike definitely feels quick, but I wonder whether that feeling is why we spent so long running high pressure, narrow tyres and the like. It's because they felt quick. Wider tyres didn't feel quick. Lower tyre pressures didn't feel quick, and heavier bikes didn't feel quick. It was only when we did the research and the testing and we found out that wider tyres could have lower rolling resistance and lower pressures reduced impedance resistance. And if a bike is heavier because it's blooming aerodynamic, then you are gonna go faster in almost all situations, apart from potentially 11% climbs that are 2 minutes long. But anyway, I think then potentially that this bike is actually a slower bike, but it doesn't matter because this bike's not trying to win the Tour de France anymore. This bike is rapidly on its way to becoming a classic. And if it feels fast, then so much the better. Now, please give this video a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Before you go, I would actually like your help on something actually. Tech nerds, if you're still there, the bottom bracket, right? I've been scratching my head over this one. Press fit bottom bracket, but yet it's got threaded cups in it. Anyway, if you know the answer to that one, get involved in the comment section. Huge thanks to Andrew for busting a gut. Huge thanks to Dan for lending us his bike. And give the video a like if you want to see more like this.